So I actually have a lot tonight. I'll start with, on Tuesday, I got to attend the Linwood Halloween Parade. It's always one of my favorite events because you get to see all the teachers, all the students, and the students are so excited for the parade, for their costumes, for the classroom parties, for the candy, for the trick-or-treating. It's just great energy. And it was also nice to be in the classroom. I'm in my son's homeroom parent, and it was nice to be in there for his party. It's something I don't take for granted any longer post-COVID. I got to run the party with 3 other wonderful moms, and if you don't judge around a toilet paper mummy, it's not really Halloween in my opinion. But last week, I believe it was last Wednesday, I attended Delaware County Community College's appreciation dinner for the sponsoring school districts. I believe the meal was catered by the culinary students. Am I correct in, if so, the food was amazing. And after dinner, there was a wonderful presentation on what's going on at Delaware County Community College. And they highlighted all of their tremendous programs and offerings. So whether you were considering going there for 4 years, for 2 years, or for technical training, or for certificate, they have some really amazing offerings. They offer a ridiculous amount of extracurriculars and clubs and athletics. One thing that, one program, pathway that they were highlighting and that they asked everyone to come back and speak to at their districts was a 2-year teacher pathway program. And they do have other pathway programs, and I believe they actually have a 1-year teacher pathway program, but this one is very unique. It's a 2-year program for high school juniors, and it is completely free. The tuition is free, the books are free, all the fees are free. It is all covered by a grant from Delaware County Council in response to the teacher shortage. They're very excited about this program. The only caveat is you have to be a high school junior, and by junior, not a current junior, unfortunately, but someone who'd be a sophomore, because you would take the classes as a junior and as a senior, and you would come out of high school with 38 college credits, completely free. It is a tremendous opportunity, and so they asked that we pass this along. And Mr. Kramer, if you could pass it, Dr. Rushi, if she could pass the flyer. I actually doubled back to my house because I forgot that I had it left out all week. I didn't want to lose it. So they were very excited about that. After the dinner and the presentation, and I feel bad, Dr. Crispin, I'm stealing probably everything there was that you might say. We had a liaison meeting, which Dr. Crispin and I both attended, and the focus of the liaison meeting was really Delaware County Community College just trying to see how they can best serve each of their supporting districts' needs and how they can best market their tremendous offerings to the students in each of those districts. They are very cognizant of the fact that what works in one district won't work in another, and the needs of Haverford might be different than Upper Darby, and what works in Springfield might not work in Radnor or Ridley, and they're open to any and everything. They mentioned that at Ridley, there's busloads of kids who take a field trip and tour the campus. They mentioned at Haverford, they've done presentations at our school board meeting. In some districts, they come in and do a presentation for high school students during the day. I know one of the liaisons asked if they could do a presentation at night for students and parents, and the answer to everything was yes, yes, yes. They'll do anything. You can come up with whatever you want. They'll do any combination. So it's something they wanted also us to pass on, and I guess that would be to high school administration and the guidance counselors. That they're willing to do anything just to get the word out about their programs. And so that was that. Briefly, just for, I think, like transparency's sake, I just want to note that I did email board leadership and Dr. Rushi and Ms. Saxa earlier this week, asking that we discuss homework policy, specifically the disconnect between policy and practice, and more specifically, the kind of radical changes in homework practice post-COVID sooner rather than later. Ms. Snodgrass did an excellent job explaining where we're at in the whole process. It's an issue that's of great importance to me, and I think a lot of people in the district. And so for the people that I told, hey, we're going to be discussing it tonight, Ms. Snodgrass explained why we're not. So it's something that I'll continue, to bring up until we get, I think we need a a good board discussion on it at a board or a curriculum meeting. Lastly, I have never brought politics or world events into my board reports. I choose to focus on events and happenings in our district. And that's just my preference, that's just me. That being said, I have been very deeply upset and troubled by the events that occurred in Israel on October 7th. There's really no words that can describe the massacre of innocent men, women, children, and babies, many in their own homes, some while they slept. I'll never understand the hatred and inhumanity that leads to such hate and violence. But I'm almost just as troubled and upset by the response that these atrocities are getting in this country, and particularly by those at the so-called elite college campuses. It's not just indifference to the rape, murder, and torture of innocent people, but it's blaming them for their own suffering. And the reason I bring this up, not just because it troubled me, but over the past year, I had been made aware of very few isolated incidents of anti-Semitism in our district. And while I was troubled by them, I viewed them as isolated incidents that unfortunately can and do occur everywhere. This week, district faculty and a family spoke with me about an incident of anti-Semitism in our district that kind of rattled me and upset me and made me questioning a lot of what I previously thought. A young girl in our middle school had a boy sitting next to her making swastikas and making anti-Semitic comments. She asked him to stop. She told him that she was Jewish, and it continued, and it culminated in an incident where he told her that Jews weren't real people, and he gave her the Nazi salute. Fortunately, other students witnessed and observed this. They alerted the teacher, and the teacher's response was exactly what you could hope for in getting the boy out of the classroom and in notifying building administration, and for that the family is very thankful. So am I, as a parent and as a school board member. But after this point, I really struggle with how things have fallen out, and I'm deeply disappointed in what has occurred afterwards. While the parents were made aware of what happened to their daughter by their daughter after school, no one notified the parents from administration. They wrote an email that afternoon, and they were not contacted for 48 hours. And just by comparison, my son last year had a little boy put macaroni and cheese on his soft pretzel at lunch, which upset him greatly as an 8-year-old. And I was notified in under 2 hours. The parent told me that she felt she drove this investigation, kept emailing and calling, and when people told her that they would call and email, they did not, and she had to follow up, and that troubles me. But what troubles me even more for this family and for this little girl is that the findings of the incident report said that no harassment had occurred. Swastikas, anti-Semitic marks.
Excuse me, Ms. Vitale. This is a conversation that is probably best had with the administration. This is the details that you are sharing really are not appropriate for a public board meeting.
The parent expressed their desire, so this is not something that I would ever in 1,000,000 years speak on without the family's consent or approval.
But this is not the protocol to address what is a very serious matter.
Well, the protocol has been solved, Dr. Rushi, and with all due respect, I'm going to continue speaking because this.
Ms. Vitale, the district does not have written consent from this family. I'm not sure. The district, to my knowledge, does not have written consent for that information to be spoken about or to be shared. So as solicitor of the district, my concern is that if we continue to discuss details, that we will be potentially in violation of student privacy. So
Let me think what I can say that is very general. To not count instances of just generally anti-Semitism as harassment, to find that that it was just a joke. That's what this family was told. It was just the other student was just joking. The swastikas, he was just doodling that on his own. That is morally repugnant, and it makes me gotta watch what I say. You know, you wonder how you have morally bankrupt people walking around, and I think I have a lot of answers. I think I've put a lot of things. I'm trying to think what I could say, but this was not addressed.
Ms. Vitale, I would appreciate if you would bring that to me so that it can be addressed. It was not brought to me.
I don't want to name names of who it was brought to, but it was brought to many other people, Dr. Rushi.
When it's brought to other people and the result is not satisfactory, the way to address it is not at a public board meeting. I would appreciate it if it would be brought to me, either by you or by the family, and give us an opportunity to approach that situation with a very serious review.
The parent has requested that we consider adopting, and this is a policy issue, that we apparently have a harassment policy and we have a bullying policy, but we do not have apparently a hate speech policy. And that is a suggestion, that is something that I do think the board should consider looking into. There needs to be consequences to these actions as well as an educational component. No student should leave our district thinking that swastikas are just a joke. I'm really as floored as I was by what the faculty and this family told me. I think I'm also floored. It really does go to show it just really doesn't matter. I shouldn't be surprised, but I keep continuing to be. It's not okay. And there's been many other instances that faculty have told me about and it seems to be a pattern. And if you don't, it seems that sometimes everything has been many times brushed under the rug. And I'm very rarely at a loss for words, but I find myself tonight, and I think before I say some things I don't want to say, I think I'm gonna respectfully leave the meeting, but it's no wonder we have a lot of the reactions we have in this country when we're seeing it, when this is allowed, when this is the response of the district. We need to do better, not just for our Jewish students and faculty, but for all our students and faculty, so that we don't contribute to having more just morally reprehensible, utterly clueless anti-Semites in the world. And I'm gonna go with that.
Okay, so on Tuesday, I had the pleasure of attending the Chestnut Wald Halloween Parade, and